Tensei Shitara Slime Dattaken. Chapter 5. First Steps. On that day, an earthquake rippled across the world. The Calamity-class monster, Storm Dragon Veldora, has disappeared. The one sealed for 300 years, the living Calamity. His disappearance signifies his return somewhere in this world. And yet, 20 days after the disappearance, the Western Saints' Church declared his presence to have completely vanished. Count Nagol Mygam remained indignant. "That's bullshit!" he cursed while remembering the Cardinal's words. Cardinal Nicholas Sherptas. Even the mention of his name evoked the Count's anger. "The threat known as the Storm Dragon Veldora has disappeared. Therefore, the provisions and monetary support from the Saints' Church shall be immediately halted." And having unilaterally so exclaimed, the Cardinal ended the discussion. And more than ignoring anything they had to say, he even made them wait for 3 hours. Though it is true that the emergency funds have been given to combat emergency, but the lands bordering the Great Jora Forest, the Count's property, is the primary defense land of the entire Farmus Kingdom. That is, although Storm Dragon Veldora has been sealed, he was, nonetheless, a potent threat. Even for monsters that was no exception. No, actually, he was especially a threat for monsters. The fact that this threat had disappeared can only be attributed to the monsters' movements. Although Farmus should be improving their defenses, they are cutting them instead. This is the cause of Count Nagol Mygam's indignation. And though the Western Saints' Church had valid reasons, none of them mattered to Nagol. How should he protect his lands now? He has the money for mercenaries, but it's not the right time to be hiring adventurers. As a last resort, he could appeal to the king, but just remembering the king's face induced despair. It would be difficult to explain how the support funds received until now were used. Without a threat, it is natural for the defense spending to be cut, and if this were handled poorly, he'd have to raise taxes. Just the thought of it caused Nagol to grimace. On the way back to his domain in a carriage, his thoughts were filled with devising countermeasures. Focusing only on monsters, Nagol could have not thought of anyone else to make use of. Yet Nagol was not the only one troubled by the situation. The Farmus Kingdom is a country of moderate strength, and thus they have abstained from expanding the frontier. And thus there is little posing danger to them. As Nagol expected, many cabinet ministers are planning to reduce defense spending. However, other countries surrounding the Jora Forest may not do the same. To not regret it later, each must come up with some countermeasures. The kings and ministers of those are now hastily hosting emergency councils to devise a strategy. One such troubled individual is the Baron Bullard, minister of the country called Brummond. "There could only be one reason for me to call you. You have heard about the Storm Dragon Veldora, I take it." With an overwhelming attitude, the Baron directed his question to the man who had entered the room. Of short stature, yet of serious appearance, the man never failed to maintain eye contact. "Of course, my lord," was the simple reply. His voice was deep and coarse. "Aye, as expected of the Guildmaster. Is that what I should say?" Baron Bullard snorted and continued as if spitting out every word. "So, what is the Guild planning on doing?" "Nothing in particular. No plans I'm aware of." "What? I didn't really get that. Are you saying there are no countermeasures at all?" "Yes, we see no need for any," the Guildmaster responded apathetically, with the appearance that asked, why would the Baron Bullard be mad? And although the Baron saw this attitude, he continued while ignoring it. In the first place, whether his efforts would be answered. "What is necessary depends on the person, I imagine. The disappearance of the Storm Dragon is surely a plot by monsters. Why would we not need countermeasures against that?" "It's a funny thing you said. Countermeasures are planned by a country. We are a free guild, not a group of volunteers, you know?" It was so. Their freedom lay in the fact that they were outside a country's system. Compared to a normal laborer, their lifestyle were not guaranteed. However, basic social status was. Moreover, they were granted appropriate land. Thus, they at least had the duty of paying taxes. To explain, let's consider the example of a cook. The cook who belongs to the country pays the social status tax along with one appropriate for his income. For this, the country protects his life and property. On the other hand, the guild cook pays significantly less in taxes. For the fee that he pays to the guild, he receives the guild protection of his persona. However, protecting his property becomes his problem. Also, a country cook can one day open a store in the castle and have his children inherit it. A guild one has no such privilege, and thus sets his store in the castle vicinity. Moreover, should he even establish a successful store, his children cannot inherit it. It is from this fact that citizens have acquired a deep-rooted prejudice and hatred for free guilders. Nor is this system unique only to Brumund. In fact, basically every country follows the same rules. On the other hand, the Free Guild has surpassed every regime in existence, and they possess the greatest organizational power. Whether by coincidence or intention, they operate right under the country's nose while maintaining an underground society appearance. Protecting the citizens' property is a basic duty of the country, isn't it? Similarly, we have to protect our associates. Don't we both have it tough? Hearing these impudent words, the Baron Boulard could no longer conceal his anger. Since the morning, nothing had been going his way. Enough of this pointless chatter! From the Free Guild, how many soldiers can you send? How many adventurers excel at combat? How many can be used to protect this city? The guildmaster could only sigh. Make no mistake, we are not a volunteer group. If mobilized together with the country's forces, I could perhaps gather around 10% of our associates. If you require any more, there have to be proper remunerations. There are 10 million people living in Brumund. Of that, 7,000 are guild members, their families not included in that count. In the case of a joint exercise, the Free Guild could provide 10% of its members, which was about 700 people in this case, who would serve the country. As a side note, the guild members of this country cannot apply for membership in another country's guild. Thus, although they are free, there is still a clear allegiance. Additionally, it will take time to make the joint mobilization official, and in the meantime, the tax has to be agreed upon to be set at 20%. Force can be used, but that will definitely hurt the revenue. And, in the first place, it's not like the guild can immediately come up with appropriate tax levels for its members. Moreover, implementing the tax and communication with the guild is nearly impossible, since half of its members are non-combatants. Even the king understands this much. For that reason, extortion is normally avoided, but there is no longer a normal situation. The monsters are moving. That in itself is a big reason. But it's not the main one. Enough. Hey, Hughes, what's on your mind? The guildmaster, no, Hughes, was surprised by suddenly being called his name. And for the first time, he looked Baron Boulard right in the face. We had a non-aggression pact on the land where the storm dragon was sealed. Now the Emperor may choose to claim that route. Exactly. Whether they were holding back around Veldora or afraid of damaging the seal, I don't know. However, they have begun to move. Do you understand? If they claim that forest, all the surrounding countries will be swallowed up. To say the least of the Eastern Saints Church's abilities. Those countries surrounding the Jora forest that fail to prepare properly will end up under the Empire in the blink of an eye. The Church will not move. They care little for mundane things. For them, it is defeating the demons that is their holy duty. As you say, but if one knight were to decide to move, and unless the Empire does something stupid, when not fighting monsters, they have to earn their keep, don't you think? Impossible. For the Church, the whole country can go under, and it won't be any skin off their backs. Not like the Church can strive to save every believer. The look on the Baron's face, this is what Hughes thought. He looked so exhausted. It's not impossible, but he probably had been aging a day here. The truth is, these two are childhood friends. For the Baron, having intimacies and friendships be revealed to the public can be rather inconvenient. And so, the two made it seem like they were using each other, and acted as to display their hatred for each other. This small country would be unable to weather the coming storms alone. But perhaps this is all just empty panic. Yes, the Empire had begun to move, but it's not as if they had already invaded. Just for the monsters, there are plenty countermeasures. The Emperor hadn't revealed its intentions yet, did it? Anyway, I'll go check it out myself. Oh, shit, that was the Guildmaster. Okay, let's try that again. The Empire hadn't revealed its intentions yet, did it? Anyway, I'll go check it out myself. Don't expect too much, but I'll try to see what's going on in the Jura Forest, and with the Empire's movements. Sorry, and thanks. Right. What the Empire will do is yet undecided. And even if they move, rather, their attack will become a large-scale war. Even they would not fare well against the constant ambushes and skirmishes. With 100,000 soldiers, they could surely crush every surrounding country. But, to that end, extensive preparations were needed. At least 3 years? Can't say that that's much time, but enough to carefully plan ahead. Anyway, I'm off to collect data. Early bird catches the worm, right? Please. And with a nod, the two parted, on their shoulders a burden heavy as a mountain. Cardinal Nicholas Sherptas was welcoming of Count Nagol-Mygam's departure with a thin smile. That leech, he exclaimed with a benevolent smile and sighed. Doesn't believe in God, but just crowds around the church's money and power. Nicholas was testing the Count Nagol-Mygam, and not just him. All those in the church were thinking the same thing. Those who believe in God should swear their allegiance to the Holy Empire of Ruberios. The Eastern Saints' Church took the Empire's faith and merely elected the Pope as their ruler. As far as they're concerned, the Holy Empire is essentially the main temple, and their citizens are the Empire's believers. Further, those living in other countries, yet professing to believe, must remember that deceit is punished, as God comes before all. Therefore, all those idiots making excuses against becoming the Empire's citizens do not deserve any mercy. That is the opinion of every man serving under Nicholas regarding the Eastern Saints' Church. Nicholas himself was of the opinion that heretics do not believe in God should be... Nicholas himself was of the opinion that heretics that do not believe in God should all be killed. But there was one person who offered a scornful smile to these words. World traveler Sakadachi Hinata. She said this, "A waste of effort. It takes tremendous force to change the hearts of those who would believe in other gods. Rather than that, lend them your hand, and accept theirs. That is the most proven method. Save the people from monsters, and convince them you represent justice. And, since wars aren't just going to up and disappear, in times of trouble, offer support. Monsters are humanity's common enemy. But the same is not true for humanity, is it? No need to pointlessly provoke aggression. Normal people are idiots. If you save them, when will they come? Normal people are idiots. If you save them when they're in trouble, they'll quickly believe. Isn't that the raison d'etre of the church?" The girl was pragmatic, neither promoting atheism nor rejecting religion. Just thoroughly use both. For Nicholas, that seemed like a cool-headed approach. Nicholas watched with a sight so cold it could kill. All we need to do is wait. Let the earthly country's strength fall, and then demand your dues. Those words caused him to shudder. Was it with excitement or fear? Yet Nicholas obeyed, and as a result, the church had changed greatly over the 10 years, their influence speaking for itself. In just 7 years, they had become the topic discussed by every nation. Having achieved these things, Nicholas had been promoted from bishop to cardinal, and it was all thanks to that girl. Well, just as that girl had said, there is a way of even using a leech. Nicholas was considering the current situation. The Empire's movements are unclear, and the monsters are becoming increasingly active. I'll definitely become busy from now on. But how will that girl move? It might be a good idea to try to contact her. Right now she would be... To the Imperial Guard, directly under the Pope, Holy Knights Division, Sakadachi. Alrighty. Whoop! Shoot! You're just going all over the place. So that's the end of the chapter. Oh, Jesus Christ, what did I just do? Okay. Well, you know what? We'll just leave it here. Oh. Just freaking out. There was one thing I found kind of confusing when reading through this. It started out as the Western Church, but then it switched over to the Eastern Church. And I'm kind of confused if this is like sort of, real world-esque, where there was the Eastern Church and the Western Church, and there was that great schism and the Byzantium Empire and all that jib-jab. If it's sort of like that, or if they were both supposed to be the Eastern Church. Or if it's just like the country in question refers to it as either Eastern or Western relative to where they are in the situation. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's supposed to be Eastern Church, and that it's always Eastern Church, and that one bit on page like 69, 68 was just a mistranslation. So for future reference, I'm just going to call it Eastern Church so that we're all on the same page here. Unless I'm proved otherwise, and then in that case, well, fuck. But I thought that was a pretty good reading. There were a lot of voices, and I tried to keep them varied. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I know that the bishop, or the cardinal, I should say, because he got upgraded from a bishop, had kind of like a snooty voice, but he seemed kind of like he'd be a snooty motherfucker. So that's what I went with. I'm looking forward to making the next recording, and hopefully we will be back on track here soon, because I do really enjoy reading this, and I enjoy sharing it with you guys. So stay tuned. Hopefully the next update will be up soon, and I will catch you all later. Bye!